Now, I know what you might be thinking by the title of this video. So this is about Blue Shift, Decay, and Opposing Force. But no, this video isn't about the Gearbox games, although I have covered Blue Shift in the past. I'm talking about the Half-Life games that have official Steam pages, but are really just mods, or games that cost money but aren't made by Valve or some other big studio associated with them. There's a lot more than you'd think. Not many other IP holders would allow people to post or sell fan fiction of their work at all, let alone in the same place they sell the original. So we have a fine assortment of mods here, all of which have Steam pages, of course, but for the life of me, I don't really get why all of them need the Steam pages. Like, you have Half-Life Before here, with just the best user reviews ever, and it's apparently the oldest thing in the universe, but it seems like a lot for such a small mod. A mod small enough that people are saying that you'll beat it in 10 minutes. And well, I just had to see if that was true, so... Okay, so I'm back, and well, it took me 20 minutes instead of 10, don't make fun of me. But yeah, I can see what people were saying when they said this mod doesn't make any sense. I don't remember the Nihilith eating me in the normal game, but sure, why not? So basically, the synopsis of this is, you're on a big boat, and G-Man is there, and there are monsters in containers on the big boat, and there are soldiers there also, and you need to get a crystal off the big boat to make Half-Life 1 happen. I think, yeah. Shout out to Best Half-Life protagonist, Andrew Winner, I guess. Oh, and according to this screen, you go into a parallel universe to do all this. Yeah, sure, okay, why not? I won't lie, there's something charming about it. Maybe it's the setting, which is pretty unique for a Gold Source mod as far as I've seen. Or maybe it's just how goofy it is, I don't know. Alright, up next is Half-Life C.A.G.E.D, but I already covered that a while ago, so I'll just go over the quick rundown. It's a very short, but not Half-Life Before short, mod for Half-Life made by Cale George, a former Valve employee and Future Games Select. It's actually really good and free, because it's a mod, but it has a small DLC for its iconic weapon, the Toilet Plunger. So you should buy it to support the game if you ask me. Like I said in my Chop Goblins video, the game is small, but it knows exactly what it's doing. That's how I describe Half-Life C.A.G.E.D. So anyway, in the game, you're escaping a big-ass prison, and well, like in real life, the government isn't too happy about that. So that, of course, leads to some running and gunning. I know, who would have believed the standalone mod for an FPS game would contain shooting. It also has this, like, retro synth thing going on, but you probably won't realize that till you get to the end of the game and they hit you with one of these. It really doesn't have a story and doesn't explain really anything, like why you're here or who you are or really anything that's going on, but it doesn't really need to tell you. Plus, it's got this cool-ass menu, so I mean, what else do you need? Now, back to things that make you wonder, why is this here? We have Half-Life 2, Genry's Great Escape from City 13. Now you might be asking, Snowy, what the hell? And, well, I don't really know. It seems like your average Russian teenager did what your average Russian teenager do, which is to make a mod for Half-Life 2. Now, I'm not here to shit on this, it's just your average Russian teenager Half-Life mod. And to those not in the know, yes, at this point, that probably really is a genre of mod. The reason why I'm noting this is because it's here. Like, this is probably one of the most common Half-Life 2 mods out there, but for some reason, this one, out of all of them, needs a Steam page. That's all I wanted to highlight. But now let's move on to something a little more well-known. And that mod that is a little more well-known is Sven Co-Op. Now, Sven Co-Op is a mod with some history. Years ago, when I first got a Steam account, I bought the Valve collection during my first summer sale, and I stumbled across Sven Co-Op without knowing anything about it. This mod was released in January 1999. Yeah, like 3 months after Half-Life 1 was released. And it still has support. Designed by Daniel Sven Viking Fearon and overseen by David Sniper McDermott, it at its base level is Half-Life 1's main campaign, but multiplayer. But that's at a very basic base level. If you feel like the tiny mods I mentioned previously weren't gamey enough to be in this video with the title that it is, let me tell you, Sven Co-Op is certainly its own Half-Life game. Sven Co-Op I'd describe as almost the Gold Source equivalent to Gary's mod. Not that it's a sandbox game where you can put Duke Nukem in a 7-Eleven, but at the same time you could probably somehow get that to happen just without the ragdolls. But because when you put it in the hands of the fans, you go from playing Half-Life 1 to playing through a neon hellscape obstacle course with Toho characters. There's endless fan maps to play that don't even begin to involve Half-Life itself, like the previously said neon hellscape obstacle course. So basically anything you can think of is probably a map for this game because of how long it's existed. Here's an example from one of my old ass videos.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that fall in love? I don't think it will be someone
within one house.
But like I said, you can play through Half-Life 1's campaign on top of all of that. You can also play through Blue Shift and Opposing Forces campaign, and probably through Decay's campaign as well. And if that's not enough to convince you that this is its own package, its own game, I don't know what will. Plus, it's blue themed, so like, what else do you want? But now, let's move on to something new. Now we're on to Entropy 02. This should have cost money. I would have paid for this, but it's free. This is a sequel to a Half-Life mod that was pretty popular where you play it on the side of the Combine in Half-Life 2. But this just blows all of that out of the water. It makes the original look like Half-Life 2, Genry's Great Escape from City 13. It, for the most part, ends up feeling like a proper Half-Life game, unlike certain other Half-Life mods where it either strays so far away from being Half-Life it might as well not be Half-Life anymore, or they cling so hard to every aspect of Half-Life so tightly that it feels like Wattpad fanfiction. This game tries and succeeds at being Half-Life while also maintaining its own identity. You once again play on the side of the Combine, but without giving away the entire plot because you really should play this. The main campaign is attempting to sway you from that. Also, the main character is fully voiced, which at the beginning was a little weird feeling, but I mean, hey, if Half-Life Alyx can make a Half-Life game that, has a fully voiced protagonist, why not this? The only time that this is even slightly detrimental is when the game can get a little too referencey, but who among us who makes art can say that they don't have the compulsory needs of reference shit when they even have the slightest chance? I gotta say though, the best part of the game was how they were able to balance the Portal and Half-Life aspects of it. See, every goddamn Half-Life mod that's trying to be a game feels the need to shove Portal in it, which makes sense because it's the same universe, and I chalk up the need to do this is because Valve teased the Portal stuff like 20 years ago and still hasn't delivered on it, but Entropy 02 balances these two sides very well. If you were to tell me that your companion for the whole game was a rogue aperture turret, I would have assumed this was going to be like all the other fan Half-Life 3 games where Gordon Freeman gets a portal gun or something. But no, they integrated this portal stuff in a way where it wasn't just shoehorned in, it was the entire storyline of the game. So yeah, go play this game, you can kick people. This is the Wilson Chronicles. The Wilson Chronicles is a mod for Half-Life 2 made by
Frères d'Armes.
I guess. And I say I guess because that's pretty much all there is to it. I mean, look at its page. It's got like a Hulu episode description for the Steam page. You check the ModDB and that's where you'll get more info, I guess. Let's see. Well, it was last updated in 2020 and they have a YouTube channel with 2 videos, and holy hell, they were making this since 2009. I was like 7 or 8, and this game was being made? Wait, this was posted in 2012, but the trailer's from 2009. Okay, geez, whatever, I don't know. While writing this part, I actually haven't played it. I booted up a few years ago, and then got jump scared by Sackboy, and uninstalled it. So I'll get back to you once I finish it. Okay, I finished it, and well, it's not finished. But it certainly was an experience. So, what is the Wilson Chronicles? Well, it's like Blue Shift trying to be Opposing Force, but not that great. Well, for one, I've never seen a game try to tell you that its main character is super cool and badass as hard as this game did. Once you leave your Gmod apartment and hop into your cool-ass car, you drive through the desert with one hand on the wheel and the other one ready to grab your cool-ass gun, while the character file shows that you're basically Barney, but just cooler and better and more badass. And all of that is suddenly halted by this goofy-ass elevator music. Outside of its weird and goofy moments, there's not much to talk about. It's basically Black Mesa, the Half-Life 1 remake, but really, really rough in terms of gameplay and presentation. So let's just go over the weird and goofy shit, alright? So for one, this game has an interesting shotgun to say the least. It's using a really compressed sound effect, has no recoil, and kills almost anything in one hit from like 70% of distances. Just saying 70% of distances makes sense. Who cares? You know what I mean. Another thing is just the game uses a lot of random shit in it. Like, a lot of the stuff they hang on the walls is really out of place, and they use Left 4 Dead health packs instead of, I don't know, anything else. Also, the game pairs you up with this security guard for a bit, and like, he's not allowed to die, and then he just disappears at some point. I think he shows up at the end of the game because they really wanted this security guard to follow me through the elevator. Also, if you tap him while he's on the tram, he just dies. I think it's supposed to be like, whoa, you pushed him off the tram, game over. But usually he doesn't fall out, he just flops over from being poked. There's also the classic Half-Life laser mine hallway, but you can just walk right through this one and be just fine. Also, they whip out the tiny Nihilanthe thingies and they just set you on fire. What's with these games and using the Nihilanthe and like tiny Nihilanthe thingies? Just super fast. Now that we're done with the Wilson Chronicles, let's just toss out a few more things that would probably need a separate video for me to go over thoroughly. And also because playing the Wilson Chronicles took what little soul I had left. I just want to finish this. So there's Black Mesa, a whole-ass remake of Half-Life 1, like I said earlier, in Half-Life 2's Source Engine. It was made over a long-ass period of time by a team called the Crowbar Collective. I get it. Black Mesa was made directly in response to just how bad Half-Life 1 Source was, which was Half-Life 1's port to the Source engine. It's overall a fantastic remake that made many additions, such as adding the characters from Half-Life 2 that were canonically in Half-Life 1, but weren't seen, and made many level edits that are made in hindsight, which are overall better experiences. Then there's Xen. Xen is the final section of Half-Life 1, and, well, it's not good. Yeah, it's tedious and overall the worst part of the game, and now that's not a hot take by any means, which is why the Crowbar Collective spent a, really fucking long time making Xen, and wow, it's beautiful. Too beautiful. Now, I know I suddenly sound like a massive contrarian, and I hate that, but it's just too nice looking. Xen is the place where head crabs and barnacles come from. You look at the gnome, and you tell me it came from this. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. But you should buy Black Mesa, because this is no mod. This is a full retail game. But speaking of Half-Life fan games that you have to pay money to play, we're moving on to Hunt Down the Freeman. What's there left to say about Hunt Down the Freeman that hasn't already been said? It feels like a joke, but isn't. If it was just one of the mods I was talking about that poses as its own game, I don't think anyone would be talking about it more than fucking Half-Life Before's Big Boat Adventure. But this isn't just some mod, it's a game that costs money for some reason. This travesty has so much drama surrounding it and so many videos covering it, I simply couldn't do it justice in this video. Maybe 1,000 subs, I'll make the Hunt Down the Freeman special. Let me attempt to try and put this cosmic level disaster in terms that somebody outside the Half-Life community may understand. Without going into its insane development, this game is some fan fiction attempting to be a proper spiritual successor to Half-Life Opposing Force, while also ripping off Metal Gear Solid 5. This game wants to be a sequel to this Half-Life spinoff so badly that at some point in the game, it's revealed you play as the brother of the protagonist from Opposing Force. But at the same time, this game is somehow incapable of playing like a Half-Life game. This game employed YouTubers to voice in it and had Keemstar as the President of the United States. I don't even think it was possible to beat the game upon launch without cheating, and I swear to God, at some point, its box art was a cat edited to look like not Venom Snake here. And with that, this weird Steam stuff is over. You should follow me on Twitter and Newgrounds. I'm a very desperate artist, so